Yolan Rook had never expected his life to change on a quiet afternoon. The sky above Virila 9 was its usual soft blue, with thin white clouds drifting across the horizon. The moon was peaceful, calm, and almost always silent except for the hum of distant machines used for terraforming. Yolan liked it that way. He enjoyed simple work, simple routines, and simple thoughts. He was the kind of person who fixed broken soil filters and checked nutrient levels in the ground, nothing more. But that day, his peace cracked in the most unexpected way. He was walking across the flat fields near the outer ridge, carrying a scanner in one hand and a bag of spare parts in the other. The job was easy, just checking a faulty moisture reader. He had done it many times before. The sunlight was warm on his face, and the wind was gentle. Everything felt normal until he heard a sound he had never heard on Virila-9. That was a soft, pained groan. Not mechanical, not human, something alive. Jalen stopped mid. His heart beat a little faster, but not from fear, more from curiosity. He listened again. Yes, there it was, a low, trembling sound carried by the wind. He turned toward a shallow crater a few meters away. No one from the colony ever went there. It was just a dent in the landscape from some ancient meteor, but today, something was inside it. Slowly, carefully, he walked toward the edge and looked down. What he saw took his breath away. A massive creature lay stretched across the crater floor. Its body shimmered faintly in the sunlight, as if its skin held tiny sparkling threads. It had 4 strong legs, but they were folded under it as though it no longer had the strength to stand. Its long tail twitched weakly. Its eyes, a large silver and strangely gentle, were half open, watching the ground without focus. Jalen recognized it from old study modules and pictures shown during his training. He whispered the name without thinking. Of Vorinth. He had never expected to see one in real life. Most people never did. Vorinths were almost mythical creatures, known across the galaxy for their beauty and intelligence. They usually lived in deep forests on distant planets, not on a newly terraformed moon like Virila 9. Yet one was here, right in front of him, injured and struggling to breathe. Yolan felt a strong pull of worry. He quickly slid down the slope and approached slowly so the creature wouldn't panic. But it hardly reacted at all. It didn't try to move away. It simply blinked, tired and helpless. "It's okay," Yolan murmured softly, even though he knew it probably couldn't understand his words. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to see what's wrong." He knelt beside the creature and placed a shaking hand near its face, careful not to touch it yet. The Vorinth let out a faint breath, warm and slow. Its body trembled again. Yolan looked closely. The creature's sides were coated in a thin layer of dust that glowed faint green, not a natural glow. His eyes widened. It was contamination. Mining runoff. Someone had allowed chemical waste to leak onto the land, and the Vorinth must have come into contact with it. That meant the poison was already inside its system. If he did nothing, the creature might not survive. Yolan straightened up, pulling the scanner from his belt. He held it above the creature's side and watched the readings. The numbers rose into dangerous ranges. His hands grew cold. The rules of the colony were clear. If you encountered unknown wildlife, report it and step away. Let trained experts handle it. But there were no experts here. The nearest specialist was 3 days away, and by then, it would be too late. He looked at the Vorinth again. Its silver eyes were now on him, faint but focused. A soft impression formed in his mind. Not a voice, not words, but a feeling, fear, pain, a quiet plea for help. Yolan swallowed hard. He could walk away and pretend he never saw it. That would be safer. It would keep him out of trouble. But the idea felt wrong deep inside him. Very wrong. "No," he whispered to himself. "I can't just leave you." He placed his hand gently on the creature's neck. Its skin was warm and slightly rough, like smooth stone. To his surprise, the Vorinth leaned into his touch, trusting him completely. That settled it. Jalen stood and looked around. He needed shelter. The sun would set soon, and the temperature on Virila 9 dropped fast at night. The nearest place that was large and safe enough was an old biodome that hadn't been used in years. It was broken, but not unusable. With some quick repairs, it could keep the creature warm and protected. "Okay," he said softly, "I'll get you to safety." Transporting something so huge was not easy. Yolan had to call for a lift machine from the maintenance shed. It arrived slowly, humming across the field. When he brought it back to the crater, he hesitated for a moment, unsure if the creature would accept being moved. But when he touched its side lightly, the Vorinth let out a tired breath, almost as if giving permission. Yolan worked carefully, guiding the lift straps under the creature's body. He spoke calmly the whole time, hoping his voice would comfort the creature. "You're doing great. Just a little more. I'll get you somewhere safe." Finally, he activated the machine. The Vorinth rose gently into the air, the straps glowing softly as they supported its weight. Yolan walked beside it, guiding it toward the biodome. The walk was long. The sun slowly began to sink, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Yolan could feel his muscles ache from stress. He kept checking the creature, but it stayed calm, its eyes half closed in exhaustion. When they reached the old biodome, Yolan hurried to open the door. Dust floated in the air inside, but the structure was still strong. It smelled faintly of old soil and unused equipment. He guided the lift machine inside and lowered the Vorinth onto a soft patch of ground. Once it was settled, he rushed to seal the dome and activate the heater. Warm air began to fill the space, pushing out the chill. Yalon knelt beside the creature again. "You're safe now," he whispered. "I won't let anything else hurt you." The Vorinth turned its head slightly and touched its snout to his hand. A gentle warmth spread through him, almost like gratitude. Jalen sat there for a long moment, simply breathing with it, listening to its slow breaths and feeling the quiet presence of something ancient and kind. Beside him, he knew he had broken rules. Big rules. He knew someone might be angry with him later, but he also knew he couldn't have done anything differently. A living being needed help. He helped. That was all. As the night settled outside, Yolan gathered supplies from the biodome storage, old medical sprays, nutrient injectors, and containers of clean water. He worked carefully, cleaning the creature's glowing wounds and flushing away the green dust. The Vorinth reacted with soft sounds, but never fear, only trust. Hours passed. The creature's breathing grew smoother. Its trembling slowed. When Yalan finally sat back, tired and covered in dust, he felt a strange calm inside him. Something unusual had happened that day. Something big. He didn't know what it meant yet, but he knew his life was already changing. He looked at the large, gentle creature resting safely in the warm glow of the bio. Its silver eyes blinked open once more, meeting his. Yolan smiled softly. "We'll get through this," he whispered. "Together." He didn't know that far beyond the sky, powerful eyes had already turned toward Virelanine. He didn't know that saving this creature would change the path of his future forever. He only knew that he had found something worth protecting and he was not going to give up. The next morning, soft golden light filled the old bio. Yolan woke slowly, his back stiff from sleeping on the hard floor. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he sat up quickly and turned toward the center of the dome. The Vorinth was still there, lying peacefully on the soft soil bed he had made. Its breaths were slow but steady, no longer shaky like last night. The warm air hummed gently around them. For the first time since he found the creature, Yalan felt a small wave of relief. "Good morning," he said softly, unsure if the creature understood anything he said, but speaking anyway. The sound of his voice seemed to make the Vorinth stir. Its silver eyes opened halfway, blinking at him with a calm, quiet awareness. Yalan smiled, even though the creature could not speak. Its presence felt almost comforting. He stood up and stretched, brushing dust off his clothes. Then he checked the biodome's old supply cabinets again. There were only a few nutrient packs left, but some of them still worked. The biodome had been abandoned years ago, and everything inside had been forgotten by the colony. Yalan had never imagined he would one day use this place to care for a myth-like creature. He returned to the Vorinth's side and gently placed a hand near its neck. "I'm going to check your temperature again." "Okay," he said softly. The creature gave a soft hum, almost like an answer. Yalan pulled out the scanner and waved it across the creature's side. The numbers appeared on the small screen. They were still higher than normal, but much better than yesterday. It gave him hope. He cleaned its skin again with warm water and wiped away a bit of the remaining green dust. The contamination was slowly fading. It looked like the creature's body was strong enough to fight the poison, as long as he continued to care for it. That as he worked, he kept talking softly, telling the creature simple things: how the sun looked outside, how the morning breeze felt, how the colony was going about its usual routines. He knew the Vorinth might not understand his words, but speaking made him feel less lonely. And strangely, it seemed to calm the creature too. After finishing the cleaning and giving the creature a small amount of nutrient gel, Yolan sat back and rested. His arms were tired, but his heart felt a little lighter. He gazed at the Vorinth, studying its features more closely. It was beautiful in a gentle, almost glowing way. Its silver eyes reflected the soft light. Its body, though large and powerful, had a peaceful presence. Yalan couldn't help but feel a strange connection, a kind of trust forming between them as he relaxed. A new thought entered his mind. The rules of the colony said any strange event must be reported. That meant someone would eventually find out, someone would ask questions, someone might try to take the Vorinth away, and he didn't want that. Not yet. Not when the creature was still weak. He sighed softly. "I'll figure it out," he whispered. "For now, just rest." The Vorinth responded by closing its eyes gently, as if trusting him completely. While the creature slept, Yalan decided to leave the biodome for a short time. He needed more supplies: pure water, old tools, maybe extra insulation to keep the dome warm at night. He stood up slowly, stretching his stiff muscles again. Before leaving, he knelt beside the creature and lightly touched its cheek. "I'll be back soon," he said softly. "Stay safe, okay?" The Vorinth made a soft, faint sound, almost like a warm breath of agreement. Jalen opened the biodome door and stepped outside. The air was crisp and cool. The sun sat low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the ground. He could see the colony in the distance, small and quiet. As he walked, he kept glancing over his shoulder, worrying. What if someone came near the biodome while he was gone? What if someone saw signs of a creature too large to hide? But when he reached the supply shed, he forced himself to calm down. He collected what he needed: clean bottles of water, unused thermal blankets, old medical kits. He packed them into a large container and headed back. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But the moment he stepped inside the biodome again, he felt something different. A faint change in the air. A soft presence brushing against his thoughts. Not frightening, just surprisingly gentle. He stopped walking. "Are you awake?" he asked quietly. The Voranth slowly opened its eyes. It lifted its head slightly, almost greeting him. Then another soft impression entered his mind, not a clear message, but a sense of recognition and calm. As if the creature was happy, he returned. Jalen blinked in surprise. "Are you communicating with me?" he whispered. The creature didn't speak, of course, but the feeling remained warm and light, like a peaceful glow in the room. Jalen felt his chest tighten with fear, but wonder. Voranths were known to be intelligent, but this kind of gentle mind touch was rare. Only creatures with deep empathy could do it. "You really are special," he murmured. He set the supplies down and began sorting them. As he worked, the Voranth watched him quietly. There was something calming about its gaze. It made the quiet biodome feel less empty. Hours passed. Yolan repaired a broken heat panel, adjusted the biodome's old lights, and added the new blankets around the creature to keep it warm. The Voranth rested peacefully, occasionally watching him as he moved. At one point, the creature shifted its weight, trying to adjust itself. Yolan quickly rushed over. Easy, he said. "Let me help." He gently placed his hands under its head to steady it. The moment his skin touched the creature, another soft wave of emotion passed through him: comfort, trust, and a tiny spark of gratitude. Jalen swallowed and whispered, "You're welcome." The sun outside slowly began to set again. The biodome filled with warm orange light. Yolan finished cleaning and checking everything. Then he sat down beside the creature once more. For a moment, neither of them made a sound. The world felt still. Yolan leaned his back against the wall and looked at the Voranth thoughtfully. "I don't know why you came here," he said quietly, "but I'm glad I found you." He didn't expect a response, but he felt another gentle pulse through his mind, soft, warm, and peaceful, as if the creature was saying it was glad to. Jalen closed his eyes and smiled. The connection between them felt real now, something deep and quiet, something he had never experienced with any other creature. He didn't know that far above the moon, beyond the clouds and empty space, unseen signals were traveling toward unknown places. He didn't know that a distant presence, cold, powerful, and feared across the galaxy, had already sensed the moment. The Voranth's mind had touched his. He only knew that he had made a promise. Even if he hadn't spoken it out loud, he would stay. He would help. He would protect the creature that trusted him. And as the night settled around them, the bond between Yolan and the Voranth grew stronger, shaping the path of both their futures in ways he could not imagine. Yolan had been caring for the Voranth for several days now. Each morning, he woke to the gentle rise and fall of the creature's chest, feeling a strange mixture of awe and responsibility. The Voranth was slowly regaining strength. Its breathing was steady, its body more relaxed, and its shimmering skin no longer carried the faint green glow of contamination. Yolan was proud of the progress, but he also knew there was still a long way to go. That morning, as the pale light of dawn crept through the cracks in the old biodome, Yolan noticed a flicker of movement outside. He stepped toward the door and squinted through the small window. At first he thought it was a stray animal, maybe a bird or a small rover wandering the outer fields. But as the figure came closer, moving with silent precision across the barren landscape, Jalen's heart began to race. It was a ship, not a colony shuttle, not a mining drone, something different, sleek, black, and imposing. It hovered above the ground without sound, its edges glowing faintly in the morning light. Yolan had seen pictures of ships like this in the galactic archives, but never in person. These were vessels used by powerful and feared individuals, people whose names made entire planets tremble. And now one of those ships had come to VIRL-9. Jalen felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He thought of the Voranth lying inside the biodome, unaware of the outside world. What would happen if this visitor discovered the creature? He couldn't let it happen. He had worked too hard to save it. He quickly scanned the area for a plan. There was no way to hide the Voranth from the ship if they were inspecting the outer fields. The biodome was old, dusty, and far too visible. Jalen's mind raced, but he had no time to hesitate. He rushed back inside and looked at the Voranth. "You need to stay calm," he whispered, kneeling beside it. "Someone's coming, and we have to be ready." The Voranth lifted its head slightly, silver eyes blinking slowly at him. Yolan could feel a faint ripple of emotion from the creature: curiosity, awareness, and perhaps trust. It understood, in its own way, that something unusual was approaching. The ship descended closer to the ground, kicking up small clouds of dust around the colony's edges. Yolan could see the hatch open, revealing a figure standing tall and confident. The person's presence was commanding, like someone used to being obeyed without question. Jalen's breath caught in his throat. He had read stories about this woman, Commander Saraxa Vale, known across the galaxy for her strength, intelligence, and the ability to command loyalty without fear. Many said she had never failed to achieve what she wanted, and now she was here, standing in the middle of the field, looking directly at the biodome. Jalen's mind raced. Should he hide the Vorinth? Could he even move it in time? He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. There was only one choice: face this visitor and hope that reason or luck was on his side. He stepped outside, holding his hand slightly raised to show he meant no harm. The dust swirled around his feet, and the sun glinted off the ship's dark surface, casting long shadows across the ground. Saraxa Vale's eyes were sharp and focused. Her expression was unreadable, but Yolan could feel the weight of her attention. It was as if she could see not just his actions, but his thoughts. "Who's there?" Her voice was calm, but it carried a quiet power that made the air feel heavier. "I am Yalan Rook," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I work at the colony. He hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "I found something that needed help." Saraxa tilted her head slightly, studying him with an intensity that made Yolan feel small. But instead of anger, there was curiosity in her eyes. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she gestured toward the biodome. "Show me," she said simply. Jalen's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to see the creature. Could he trust her? But then he glanced at the Vorinth, whose large silver eyes were watching him quietly. There was a soft, unspoken connection between them, a bond that said they could face this together. "Okay," he whispered. "Follow me." He led her inside the biodome, careful to move as quickly as possible while keeping the Vorinth calm. The creature's eyes widened slightly when it saw the visitor, but it remained still. Trusting Jalen's guidance, Saraxa stepped inside, her gaze scanning the space with practiced attention. She didn't speak for a long moment, simply observing the Vorinth. Her eyes widened slightly at the sight, but there was no fear, only interest. "It's rare," she said quietly, almost to herself. "I haven't seen one in years." Yolan blinked. You know what it is." She nodded. "I know." Her gaze turned back to him, sharper now. "And I know why it is here." Yolan felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Somehow, she already knew the significance of the Vorinth, though he had not told anyone. He had not even told the colony. How could she know? Saraxa took a step closer to the creature, and Yolan held his breath. The Vorinth remained calm, sensing that this woman, though powerful, was not a threat. There was something in her presence that even the creature recognized: a quiet authority, a careful respect for life. "This creature," she said slowly, "is important. More than you can imagine." Yolan swallowed. "I just wanted to help it," he said. "It was hurt. It needed someone to take care of it." A faint smile touched Saraxa's lips, almost unnoticeable. "You have courage," she said, "and compassion. Not many would risk themselves for something so unknown." Yolan felt his face warm. No one had ever said that to him. "Not like this." Saraxa stepped closer still, her eyes on the Vorinth. "It trusts you," she said softly, "and that is rare." For a long moment, the biodome was quiet. The creature rested, and Yolan stood beside it, feeling the weight of the moment. Saraxa's presence was intimidating, yet oddly reassuring. There was a sense that she understood the connection between him and the Vorinth, without needing words. Finally, Saraxa straightened. "You've done well," she said. "But there is more you do not know. This creature belongs to a story far larger than this colony. And now, that story has begun again." Yolan felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had only wanted to save a dying creature, yet now he was standing in front of one of the most powerful women in the galaxy. Somehow, she had taken interest in him. Why me?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Saraxa's eyes softened for a moment, though her presence still felt strong. "Because you acted without thinking of yourself," she said. "Because you cared. That is a rare quality." Yolan didn't know what to say. He had always tried to do what was right, quietly, without recognition. Now, standing here, he realized that doing the right thing had changed everything. The Vorinth shifted slightly, leaning toward him. Its silver eyes met his, and Yolan felt a warmth that went deeper than gratitude. He understood, in a way words could not express, that he was not alone anymore. Saraxa turned back toward the door, then glanced at him again. "I will return," she said, "and when I do, there will be choices to make. Be ready." Yolan watched as she stepped outside, her ship lifting smoothly from the ground. In moments, she was gone, leaving only the quiet hum of the morning air. He sank to the floor beside the Vorinth, feeling both relief and unease. He had faced someone powerful and somehow survived, not just physically, but with the creature safe and his conscience clear. "You're okay," he whispered to the Vorinth. "We're okay. For now." The creature let out a soft, low sound, almost like a sigh of relief. Yolan smiled faintly. He knew the story was far from over. Something larger was coming, something that could change everything. But in that moment, he also understood something important. Courage, kindness, and trust could create bonds that even the galaxy's most feared figures could notice. And for the first time in his life, Yolan felt that his quiet existence on Virila 9 had a purpose far beyond what he had imagined. The day stretched on, and Yolan continued his care for the Vorinth, preparing for the challenges that might come. He didn't know what Saraxa Vale would ask of him, or what adventures awaited beyond the moon. But he knew one thing for certain: the Voranth trusted him, and he would not let it down. And in that quiet golden light of the afternoon, the first chapter of an extraordinary journey was just beginning. Days passed quietly on Virilanine, though Yolan knew the calm would not last forever. The Voranth had regained much of its strength. It could now shift its massive body with ease. Standing on its 4 strong legs and stretching its long tail across the soft floor of the biode, its shimmering skin reflected the gentle light that filtered through the dome, making it look almost magical. Yalan had grown used to its presence, but every time he looked into its silver eyes, he felt the same awe he had felt the first day he found it. He spent the mornings cleaning and caring for the Voranth, checking its vitals, and making sure it had enough nutrients. Afternoons were spent repairing the old biodome, making it more secure and comfortable for the creature. It was hard work, but Yolan didn't mind. He felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. Each day, the bond between him and the Voranth grew stronger. He could feel it in the way the creature responded to his touch, the way it shifted closer to him when he spoke, and the gentle pulses of thought that occasionally brushed his mind's soft emotions of trust, curiosity, and even quiet happiness. One afternoon, as Yalan was arranging some fresh water containers, the air in the biodome seemed to shift. He paused, sensing a subtle change. The Voranth also lifted its head, ears twitching in attention. They both felt it at the same moment. Another presence was coming. The familiar hum of a distant ship reached Jalen's ears, soft at first, then steadily growing louder. He turned toward the small viewing window and saw the sleek black vessel hovering above the colony once again. His heart skipped a beat. Saraxa Vale had returned. Jalan took a deep breath and quickly checked the Voranth. The creature was calm, as if it understood that this visitor would not harm them. That understanding reassured him, though he could not ignore the nervous tension in his chest. The ship's hatch opened, and Saraxa stepped down onto the barren ground, her posture confident and calm. She walked with the quiet authority of someone who knew she was both respected and feared. When she reached the biodome entrance, she paused, surveying the structure. Then she stepped inside, her eyes immediately finding the Voranth. "You've cared for it well," she said quietly, her voice carrying a mixture of approval and curiosity. "It is stronger than I expected." Yolan felt a mix of pride and anxiety. "Thank you," he replied. "I only did what I could. I just wanted it to survive." Saraxa nodded, her gaze shifting between the Voranth and Yalan. "That is precisely why you are here," she said. "Most people would have left it to die, afraid of breaking rules or facing consequences. But you acted without hesitation." Yolan hesitated, unsure what to say. He had acted out of instinct, not courage. But Saraxa's calm, focused presence made him feel like she understood him more than anyone else ever had. "The Voranth is more than just a creature," she continued. "It carries the memory of my mentor, the last companion of someone who guided me for many years. Its survival matters greatly. And now, it matters to me as well." Yolan felt his chest tighten. He had only wanted to help a wounded animal, but now he realized that his actions had connected him to something far larger, something important to one of the most influential and feared figures in the galaxy. "I understand," he said quietly. "I didn't know it had meaning beyond being hurt." Saraxa stepped closer to the Voranth, reaching out a hand. The creature remained calm, letting her gently touch its shimmering skin. "It remembers," she said softly. "It remembers loyalty, care, and those who protect it. You have earned its trust, and that is rare indeed." Yolan felt a strange mixture of relief and awe. Here he was, standing with one of the galaxy's most powerful women, and somehow, she was showing respect and appreciation for his simple act of kindness. Saraxa turned her gaze back to him. "I need your help," she said, her tone calm but firm. "The colony's leaders have allowed contamination to spread across this moon. It is small now, but if left unchecked it could destroy everything in this region, and more importantly, it could harm creatures like the Voranth. I want you to help me fix it." Jalen's mind raced. He had always thought of himself as someone who maintained soil and machines, not someone involved in missions or larger plans. But as he looked at Saraxa, he saw no threat, only opportunity. This was a chance to protect the Voranth and do something meaningful beyond his simple work. "I can try," he said finally. "I know some areas of the colony, and I can repair systems or clean contaminated zones." Saraxa's lips curved into a faint smile. "Good. You will not be alone. I will guide you, and you will have the Voranth's support. But you must understand, this will require trust and courage. Choices you make will affect not only this moon but lives far beyond it." Yalan swallowed, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The thought of leaving the biodome, even briefly, was frightening. But the idea of helping the Voranth and perhaps making a real difference gave him a strange surge of confidence. Saraxa spent the next hour explaining what she had observed about the colony's contamination and which areas were most affected. Yolan listened carefully, absorbing every detail. She spoke with clarity and patience, making sure he understood not just the tasks but also the importance of each decision. "You will need to act quickly," she said finally, "but also thoughtfully. Do not rush carelessly, or mistakes could undo progress." Yalan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. I understand, he said. I'll do my best. Saraxa turned toward the Voranth again, and Yalan noticed a softer, almost tender expression on her face. And you, she said quietly to the creature, thank you for trusting him. It makes all the difference. The Voranth responded with a gentle hum, leaning slightly toward Yolan. The connection between them felt stronger than ever, a silent affirmation of their bond. Yolan smiled, feeling both encouraged and determined. As the afternoon light waned, Saraxa prepared to leave, her presence as commanding as ever. She paused at the doorway, turning back to Yolan. Remember, your courage and care have brought you here. Continue to act with that same integrity, and you will not fail. Yalan nodded, watching her ship lift gracefully into the sky. Once she disappeared from view, he turned back to the Voranth. We'll do this together, he said softly. I won't let anything happen to you. The Voranth hummed in response, a soft, reassuring sound. Yalan felt a warmth spread through him. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as a team. Over the next few days, Yolan worked tirelessly. He mapped contaminated areas, repaired broken filtration systems, and carefully removed traces of harmful materials from the soil. The Voranth followed him in the biodome, watching attentively, sometimes nudging him gently with its massive head as if offering encouragement. The work was hard, but it was rewarding. Yalan could see the difference in the land and in the Voranth. Each improvement brought new energy to the creature, and Yolan felt a deep satisfaction in knowing he was making a real impact. He also found himself thinking often about Saraxa. Her words and presence had left a lasting impression. She was not just powerful, she was thoughtful, observant, and capable of seeing the potential in people others might overlook. Yolan realized that she had recognized something in him, something he had never noticed in himself, a willingness to act, a quiet courage, and a heart that cared. One evening, as the sun set in a soft orange glow, Yolan sat beside the Voranth, wiping sweat from his brow. The creature rested its massive head near his lap, its eyes watching him with quiet awareness. You've come a long way, he whispered. And so have I guess. I never thought I'd be doing something like this. But I'm really glad, the Voranth responded with a soft, content hum. In that moment, Yolan felt a sense of peace. He knew that challenges ahead would not be easy, but he also knew he was no longer alone. He had a powerful ally in Saraxa, a loyal companion in the Voranth, and a courage within himself that he had only begun to discover. And as the night settled over Yalan felt ready for whatever the future might hold, knowing that together, they could face anything that came their way. The morning sun rose slowly over Veralainen, spilling golden light across the biodome and warming the soft soil inside. Yalan Rook had been awake for some time, checking on the Voranth before starting his day. The creature was fully recovered now, standing tall and moving with a grace that made Yolan smile every time he saw it. Its silver eyes followed him with quiet trust, and every gentle movement reminded him how far they had come together. Today, however, was different. Yolan could feel it. There was an energy in the air, a sense that something important was about to happen. He had been preparing for days, repairing the colony's systems, removing contamination, and ensuring the Voranth was safe. But now, he sensed that the quiet of the moon was about to be interrupted. He stepped outside the biodome and looked toward the horizon. The familiar hum of a ship reached his ears almost immediately. His heart quickened, and a small smile formed on his face. He already knew who it was. Saraxa Vale's ship hovered above the colony once again, sleek and commanding. The sunlight glinted off its black surface, casting long shadows over the ground. This time, however, the feeling he had was not fear or unease. It was anticipation. The ship's hatch opened, and Saraxa stepped down with her usual calm authority. As she approached the biodome, Yalan noticed a subtle change in her expression, something softer, almost thoughtful. She was here for a reason, and he had a feeling it would be important. Good morning, Yalan, she said, her voice steady but carrying warmth. I see your work has been effective. Yalan nodded, a little nervous. Thank you, Commander. I've done my best. The Voranth. It's fully recovered now. Saraxa's gaze turned to the Voranth, which had stepped closer to Yolan instinctively. I can see that, she said. You have done more than repair systems or clean contamination. You have earned its trust. That is a rare achievement. The Voranth made a soft sound, almost like a sigh of contentment, and Yolan felt it vibrate through him like a quiet reassurance. He smiled and patted its massive head gently. We've done it together, he said. Saraxa nodded. Indeed. And now, we face the next step. She looked at him intently, her eyes searching his. The colony's leadership will not willingly correct their mistakes. The contamination has spread further than you realize, and many creatures are at risk. I will need your help to guide them, to show them what must be done. Yolan hesitated for a moment. The idea of standing up to the colony leaders was intimidating. He had spent most of his life following rules, quietly repairing machines and soil filters, never speaking out or challenging authority. But when he looked at the Voranth, and remembered why he had started this journey, his hesitation melted. I'll do it, he said finally. For everyone who could be affected. I'll help. Saraxa's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. Good. Your courage and care have brought you here, Yolan. The next step is to act with both Lead them, and they will follow. Yolan nodded and turned toward the colony. The Vorinth followed, moving carefully beside him, its massive body graceful and steady. The sight of them together was striking. Villagers and workers paused in the streets, staring in awe at the enormous creature and the calm confidence of the man walking beside it. At the colony's administrative center, Yolan and the Vorinth were met with surprised eyes. Leaders who had ignored contamination reports now looked at them with curiosity, and some with unease. Yolan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I am Yolan Rook," he began, his voice firm but calm. "I have been working to repair systems and remove contamination caused by negligence. There is more work to do, and it cannot wait. The Vorinth you see here is a living example of what is at stake. If action is not taken, the damage will worsen." The leaders exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. The Vorinth's presence alone carried a weight of authority that was difficult to ignore. Its silver eyes met theirs briefly, and the room grew quiet. Syraxa stepped beside Yolan, her presence commanding attention. "I am Syraxa Vale," she said simply. "You may know me by reputation, but today, my reputation does not matter. What matters is the life before you, and the responsibility you have to protect it. Follow the guidance given, and the colony will survive and thrive. Ignore it, and consequences will follow not through punishment, but through the loss of what you are meant to protect." The leaders were silent. There was no shouting, no threats, only calm authority. The weight of the Vorinth's presence and Syraxa's words left them with no choice but to listen. Yolan took a deep breath and continued. "We have been given an opportunity," he said. "An opportunity to repair damage, protect life, and ensure this moon remains a place where creatures and humans can coexist. I am asking you to work with me, not because of fear, but because it is the right thing to do." One of the senior leaders stepped forward hesitantly. "And what makes you so sure we can succeed?" he asked. Jale, and glanced at the Vorinth, who leaned slightly closer to him as if lending its quiet support. "Because we have already begun," he said. "The Vorinth survived. Systems were repaired. Contamination was removed. We know it is possible, and with cooperation, we can do more." The room remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, one by one, the leaders nodded. The presence of the Vorinth, combined with Syraxa's quiet authority and Jalen's clear determination, made resistance impossible. "Very well," the senior leader said finally. "We will follow your guidance, Yolan Rook. Show us what must be done." Jalen's heart swelled with relief and pride. He had never imagined this moment. A quiet technician, standing alongside one of the galaxy's most respected figures and a legendary creature, guiding the colony toward change. Syraxa stepped forward, her expression calm but approving. "Well done," she said softly. "You have proven that courage and compassion are stronger than fear. You have shown leadership without needing power, and that is rare indeed." Yolan looked at her, feeling a warmth he could not explain. "Thank you," he said simply. "I couldn't have done it without them." He gestured to the Vorinth, who made a soft hum, resting its head near his feet. Syraxa nodded, her gaze lingering on both Yolan and the creature. "And now," she said, "you have a choice. You can remain here and continue your work with the colony, or you can join me. There is much more to see, much more to protect, and many who need someone like you. The decision is yours." Yolan felt his chest tighten. The offer was incredible, beyond anything he had imagined. To leave the quiet life he had known and step into something larger, traveling beyond Virilanine and protecting creatures like the Vorinth across the galaxy. It was both thrilling and terrifying. He looked down at the Vorinth, who had watched him with calm, trusting eyes. Its presence seemed to encourage him, silently saying that it believed in him, whatever choice he made. "I'll go with you," he said finally, his voice steady. "I want to help, wherever it is needed." Syraxa's lips curved into a rare smile, warm and approving. "Very good," she said. "Then let us begin a journey that will change many lives, and perhaps even the galaxy itself." Yolan felt a strange thrill of excitement and anticipation. The Vorinth nudged him gently, as if acknowledging the decision. He smiled and patted its head one last time, feeling the bond between them deepen even further. As the sun rose higher over Virilanine, Syraxa led Yolan and the Vorinth to her ship. The creature followed easily, trusting Yolan completely. Yolan looked back at the biodome one last time, feeling a mixture of nostalgia and pride. He had saved a dying creature, earned the respect of a powerful figure, and helped his colony take its first steps toward change. But more importantly, he had discovered a courage and sense of purpose he had never known existed. The ship lifted smoothly into the sky, carrying them beyond the moon and into the vastness of space. Yolan watched Virilan shrink below them, feeling both excitement and wonder. The galaxy was enormous, full of life and possibility, and now he was part of it. As the Vorinth rested beside him, and Syraxa piloted the ship with quiet confidence, Yolan realized that life would never be the same. He had caught the attention of the galaxy's most feared woman, not through ambition or desire for power, but through compassion, courage, and the simple act of saving a dying creature. And as stars stretched endlessly around them, Yolan knew one thing with certainty. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready. Together with the Voranth and Saraxa, he would face the future with courage, heart, and unwavering determination. The journey had only just begun.